Tell your craziest family drama here. My family drama experiences can be summed up in 2 words: my mother. Here's one story. My mother was a single mom, had various boyfriends, one husband hanging around, drug addict, alcoholic, all that exciting stuff. When I was 13, we were living in a room in this house, way out in the desert. My older sister was 16 and had already moved in with friends. I'm not sure why, but for some reason we had to leave the place we lived in prior, so my mom rented us this room to share, with most of our stuff in storage. I didn't know the man we lived with. I think his name was Mike, but I could be wrong. My mom pretty much just came up to me one day and said, "We're moving." And that was that. Anyway, after we had been there about a week or so, I was home one day and my mom was laying on the couch in our room and she seemed to be slipping in and out of consciousness. I kept trying to wake her up, but she was completely out of it, so I went to go call an ambulance. We didn't have a phone in our room, so I went to the living room to use the phone. Mike was on the phone, so I asked if I could use the phone. There was an emergency. My mom was sick and I need to call an ambulance. He ignored me at first and then got annoyed with me, wouldn't let me use the phone. So I took off on foot down to the nearest grocery store, probably the equivalent of several city blocks, and used the payphone. By this time, I was so panicked that I couldn't even remember the address. So I called a friend of my mom's, and she said she would call an ambulance. She said to stay there and wait, and she would pick me up. By the time she came to pick me up, the ambulance had already come to take my mom to the hospital. I went with her to her house, thinking that once my mom got out of the hospital, she would come and get me. Well, she didn't. She left the hospital against medical advice and, to my knowledge, did not contact her friend. To this day, I honestly don't know what was wrong with her. She has said it was a drug overdose, Valium mixed with alcohol, no doubt, and then other times she said she had a stroke. She lies all the time and she's crazier than a loon, so I'm sure I'll never know the truth. After a couple of weeks, with still no word from my mom's friend told me that I could no longer stay with her. I had to find another place to live. I called my sister to see if I could stay with her, but her friend's mom said no. She already had 2 kids and plus my sister, so she had no room for me. My sister contacted my aunt and uncle, who I hadn't spoken to in probably a year or more, due to my mother and some other dramatics, I'm sure. They agreed to let me stay with them. I moved in with them with nothing but the clothes I was wearing, plus one duffel bag of things. A few clothes, some cassette tapes, stuff like that. After staying with them for a few days, they offered to adopt me, and I agreed since I didn't really know what else to do. Finally, after about a month, my mother surfaced. I sat in my cousin's room and waited to find out where I would be living next. I could hear my mother and my uncle yelling at each other, and eventually my mom came into the room and started telling me to pack my shit and get in the car. We were leaving. My uncle came after her yelling, and I just sort of freaked. I ran out into the backyard to get away from them. I told my mother that I wanted to stay there, and when she had a job and a new place to live, I would come live with her. In my 13-year-old emotional freaked-out state that seemed like the most logical solution. This sparked much dramatics. My mother accusing me of abandoning her, saying things like, "I've never been good enough for you," etc., basically acting like she was the victim and I was a horrible person for abandoning her in her time of need. Finally, she gave me an ultimatum. Either go with her now or never see her again. I chose to stay. I really figured she was bluffing. Eventually she left and I didn't hear from her for a really long time. I started thinking that perhaps she was serious and that I would never see her again. Then I got a letter from her when I was about 15 years old. It was about 4 to 5 pages long, and it was all about how she forgave me for abandoning her. I tore it up and threw it away. The drama goes on further, but this is already getting really long, so I'll stop here.